So we have a new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, or as Joe Biden put it,
we've got news that Rishi Sunak is now the Prime Minister. As my brother would say, go figure.
This is a new old show called Editor's Desk, where on a daily basis or bi-daily, we haven't decided yet, I'll be taking you through breaking news, current affairs, and just explaining some of the moving parts and what's going on. So Rishi Sunak is our third Prime Minister, the third Conservative one we've had this year. We've had Boris Johnson, we've had Liz Truss, we've had Rishi Sunak, all in the same year. Never has this happened before. He tried it first when he went up against Liz Truss, was unsuccessful, and this time he has been successful. We just watched his live speech. He's now in charge. Now, I know Twitter people can always turn every good thing into a negative thing, and so there's lots of people giving commentary right now talking about this is not really good, don't be so happy about this. Listen, even though this hasn't solved racism, it is a good thing. This is the first time we've ever had an Asian man, a British Asian man, become Prime Minister. So it's momentous, it's important, it's a good step in the right direction. Does this mean racism has ended in the UK? No. And I do know that some folks on the right will use this to say, how could we possibly be racist? We've got an Asian Prime Minister. Ignore them. That is absolute nonsense. Even though he's a Prime Minister, there's still issues the Conservative Party have to address. Now, even though this is, as I said, a momentous occasion, the optics also don't look that good. Rishi Sunak inherits a colossal cost of living crisis. People's bills going up, people's mortgage payments going up because of mistakes made by Liz Truss. To have the Prime Minister be essentially a multi-millionaire just doesn't look right, because we know he may come in and cut government spending. He may even raise taxes. I mean, if he does these things, it's not going to look good coming from someone who personally is very, very rich, someone whose circumstances are so far away from people who are struggling, feeling the crunch of the cost of living crisis. Now, one of the main questions I got during these last few days from members of our community is, hold on. How come we don't get to vote? We didn't pick this guy. What's going on here? There is a democratic deficit in the... No one said that. But essentially, people were saying, why didn't we get a chance to vote? And it's because we don't have a direct democracy system as per prime ministers in the UK. So essentially, when you vote in general elections, you vote for your local MP, and then all those local MPs vote for their leader, and that leader, de facto, becomes the Prime Minister. And so you did vote for Rishi Sunak, in that if you voted for a Conservative member of parliament, he made that decision for you when he cast his vote. Unfortunately, we don't have a presidential system here. The system we have means that you vote for somebody, they vote for somebody, and that's the person that becomes Prime Minister. So that's that there. Now, as I said before, Rishi Sunak faces a lot of interesting challenges, a cacophony of things, if you like. One, he has to undo a lot of what we've seen with Liz Truss. It's going to be difficult because Liz Truss's mini budget, if you like, of course it was Kwasi Kwarteng that gave it, but Liz Truss's government's mini budget destabilized the market. It forced the Bank of England into a position it didn't want to be in as per yields. And so there's all these issues he has to solve. We also got a cost of living crisis. I think one of the bigger issues, which I'm not hearing people speak about, is in the next 2 years, before we have a general election, what can he credibly achieve such that he can go to the British public and say, after 14 years of a Conservative government, we need 5 more years. I just can't for the life of me imagine what that pitch would have to be. I think it's a pretty much open goal for Labour. However, Keir Starmer still has to perform. But it's going to be hard for Rishi Sunak to really come to the British public and say, listen, 5 more years is what I need to make things great again. Now, if we speak really quickly about his speech, he's made 2 in the last 2 days. One he made, when he first won the election, he went to the Conservative headquarters and he made a really odd and eerie robotic speech. He literally sounded like a robot. One of those robots you kind of wind up and he just goes, I'm so happy to be here, whatever. The speech he made today in front of number 10 Downing Street was less robotic. Just give him his dues. It was good. He spoke with conviction. He spoke with passion. I'm so glad he made a point to note that he would lead with compassion. That's one thing people feel like has been missing from this whole saga we've had with different leaders, is everyone's talking about numbers on a spreadsheet, and people are talking about the markets and the pound and what the pound buys and the euro, and it's like, hold on a minute. These are real lives, right? And so when Rishi Sunak said, I'm going to lead with compassion, I smiled and said, this is good. This is what we need, compassionate leadership. I love the fact that in his speech too, he spoke about trust being earned, right? And this speaks to something people have criticized him about, this kind of sense of entitlement he seems to have. He looks, and this may be no fault of his own, but he looks like a kind of prefect whose dad was a prefect and his older brother was a prefect, and so he's like, I should be the next prefect. He has that kind of smarmy look about him. And so when he says, I will earn your trust, or when he said, I will earn your trust, I was really happy to hear that, because that's what people want, a politician that's going to work hard to earn the trust of the British electorate. And one of the big things I think he did and got right in this speech, that unfortunately Liz Truss didn't, he pledged to action, if you like, to fulfill the promises made in the 2019 manifesto. Don't forget, that's the manifesto that won Boris Johnson that roaring majority. That's the mandate. He has a mandate to deliver the things in that manifesto. And Liz Truss broke away from that manifesto, announced all these unfunded spending cuts, and that's what led to, the sorry state of affairs where she's the shortest serving prime minister we've ever had in our country. So the speech was good by Rishi Sunak. It'll be interesting to see how he governs. Next thing we're looking at is who the cabinet is going to be. Is he going to promote people who've supported him for a long time? I mean, someone like Michael Gove will be really interesting to see if Michael Gove gets a senior position. Is he going to bring together lots of different fractions of the party and try to unite the party? Is he going to bring people who are good at the job and just kind of folks who we haven't heard from yet, who might be able to kind of, portray a kind of a sensible, adult, serious government? Who knows? That's what we're watching for next. Who's the cabinet going to be? If you enjoyed that video, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and also turn on your notification bell. We want to be doing a lot more of these sort of videos, breaking down what's happening so that you are ready to get involved in the discussion.